table back in tab G kind of describes the compliance demonstration method. And there, page 3 of Exhibit G. Different criteria pollutants have different monitoring requirements. And so there are certain criteria pollutants that do have continuous emissions monitoring. There are others that are monitored through an annual stack test.
So there's no like an amber alert or any kind of thing that we have.
Will you be doing meteorological monitoring at the site?
We do, but it's mostly to predict weather patterns and
Standard weather station.
It's just a standard weather
Right.
station.
Does that give any validity to your air mod dispersion modeling? Right now, where you take your meteorological data from?
Meteorological data from the airport. Scranton East Coast Airport.
Okay. But that data could be different.
As part of the permitting process, it was necessary to demonstrate that the data from the airport would be representative of the meteorological conditions at the Lacakawanna Energy Center. So it was part of the process to qualify those data.
Can you verify that?
Dan? Mr. Irwin?
What's that?
What's the next one?
There's two other sections that I didn't, these are the two that you went through last time.
Sure, there's,
They're under property, towards the very back under tabs 2 and 3.
a couple of those one of those general requirements in section 4, which is in 5231, I think, of your ordinance, is that the project be consistent with the borough's comprehensive plan and not incompatible with surrounding uses in the area. So there's a report in there from John Lurali, AICP, the land planner, who, if any of you were at the Pure appearance, he testified at that as well. He's generated a report that confirms that it is both consistent with the comprehensive plan, which is forward-looking for establishment of, for development of manufacturing and industrial uses. And then obviously, given both the uses that are currently allowed in the M1A, apart from the recent amendment that allows power plants as conditional use, it clearly does contemplate other similar types of industrial uses. And under the law in Pennsylvania, frankly, pretty much everywhere else, once a use is allowed, either as a permitted or a conditional use, there's a presumption created that it's also consistent with the character of the surrounding area. So that, again, that's the Varela report. And the last one is on the issue of whether or not this facility would result in a substantial negative impact to properties in the neighborhood where it's to be located. In this particular case, those properties obviously would be commercial industrial in the M1A. We've gone farther, obviously, for obvious reasons, because just like the noise, people are most concerned about residential impact. So this is a literature review of, as far as been represented to me by Professor Thayer, who did the review, a review of every study that's ever been conducted on whether or not power plants result in a negative impact to residential property owners. And the ultimate conclusion is that that's pretty much it, I think.
That's kind of my summary of everything.
Again, we have them here to answer any other questions you may have. Design, air, noise.
Can't hear.
If any of you have any questions, obviously.
Your qualification, which would, let's say, put into your model, there's an inversion. Situation where neurologically there's a cap, there's a release of, VOCs or whatever. But that would, everything, keep a cap on the air in the valley.
You have no idea how loud it
The air quality modeling analysis was restricted to just in the tax pollutants, just to be clear on that, so we're talking about, the atmospheric condition, or the meteorological variables that would be occurring during inversion are simulated in the model from the standpoint of low wind speed, constant wind direction, and temperature profile. So in that instance, yes, it is incorporated in the current model. As we look at the 5 years of data, and the model concentrations that we use for the evaluation, the worst case of 40,000 plus hours of meteorological data.
Good question. Mr. Betty?
Something else.
Mr. Kareem?
I have a lot of questions. First of all, I commend the preparation of this manual. I think they spent a lot of money for you gentlemen to put this together. I respect your ability, I respect your degrees, I respect your professionalism. What bothers me is sitting up here, Dennis and Rick, is who guides us that every one of these sections that Mr. Ewing just presented, which he did it very well, very well. I don't question that whatsoever. I don't question any of your research. I'm sure you got your numbers someplace and they are backed up by texts and they are backed up by reports from all these institutions on air, on water. DEP did a horrible job in Marcellus Shale. DEP screwed us over royally up in Bradford County. We read it. We have people opening their faucet, putting a match underneath their drinking water. I don't have a lot of faith in them. I'm sorry, Dennis. Again, this is a conditional use application. They have every right in the world to file it and move forward as a business with it, as anything else came before us in the 25 years I'm up here. My only question is, this is not splitting a parcel of land or building 12 houses, etc. This is big, big business for Jessup Borough. You're our borough engineer, and Rick's our solicitor. You will guide us, I believe in my heart, what you believe it to be. And I'm sure the presentation of it is very well put forth to us. And I see, Dennis, you got tabs all over the place, so I'm very impressed that you did your homework. I could see that. Okay, if that's not your book, it's Rick's, it's somebody's book.
I carry a whole bunch.
Okay, whatever. All right? I mean, again, we sit up here, Gene, Bobby, and except for him, who's a PE, and Mike, who's a PE, all our backgrounds are in different professions. All right? We may have common sense, and we may be good common sense people, but we're not experts. Who tells us? Who tells us? You just read 6 or 7 conditions that we would put in place. We always do. Okay, and Invenergy will abide by those conditions, I'm sure, Mr. Glazer. I'm sure, this is not the first time you as a company made application to anybody. We all understand that. My only concern is, who do I look in the eyes and say, convince me that what these fine men did, and I'm sure they're fine men, but they were hired by them. They were paid by them. And you know what? I hire professionals every day. I hope when we hire a professional, they give us an independent value. I don't hire a professional to tell me what I believe to be right is true. I hire a professional to tell me what I believe is true because of the science and forensics that they're investigating. I would hope that somebody could advise me here in the next 15 days of this 700-page book. And I spent a lot of time going through it. I don't understand a lot of it because it's not my background. But I do respect these professionals. And this gentleman just talked about air, he probably could talk about it till the cows come home. That's his job. But who tells us that, is he on the bubble? Is he on, is he within two DBAs that we should be looking at 10? Who tells us that? And who tells us, like, who guides this commission as Invenergy spent tens of thousands of dollars to put this book together for training orders? That's all my question is, or Dennis, that's all my question is. Because if you're asking me to vote on this, I don't have the ability to do that.
Well, I guess from the technical side, I mean, I guess, we as the borough engineer for the last many years would normally respond to stormwater issues, sanitary issues, setbacks, buffers, traffic, whatever construction constraints, our ordinances, our saldo and our zoning put on that. So those are the things that we in our office with Tony and Gary and the whole crew have, a significant amount of expertise in those areas. There are some things that typically we don't have the expertise that Dan just, expressed a few minutes ago. I mean, I can't help you have more confidence in DEP than you have. But a lot of times I deal with DEP on a day-to-day basis. They drive me nuts. So, we try to comply, of course not in air monitoring, that's not one of the things that we do. But, I look at the DEP in this regard, and they get their instructions from the EPA, National Ambient Air Quality Standards. I mean, I'm going to assume that the air mod, I did check with DEP, I met with Ray Kempa. I wanted to understand, I know there's a lot of dispersion models out there. We've done dispersion models in our office years ago, but that's not our main expertise. So I go to DEP, what kind of air dispersion model are they using? Well, they're using an AER MOD, air mod. That's the EPA sanctioned model. Am I saying something wrong there, Dan? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I'm asking you because what's what Ray told me. So they use that, and they had their team in Harrisburg evaluate what these guys did. And they came back and they wrote that letter. I read that letter. I mean, most of it I think I could understand from just because of my science background. But could I repeat that model in my office? No, not what we do. And then I think back, let me just take you back 40 years. When in the 1960s I was trapping muskrats in the Lacakawanna River, it was a sewer. The air around here was terrible. We had burning dumps in Carbondale and Troop. We think we still have one in Olive. It was bad. So I fast forward 40 or 50 years, and now, we have a trophy trout stream. We have a good, clean air basin. Much better than it was 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So why did that happen by accident? I don't think so. I think that happened because of the Clean Streams Act, the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, and all subsequent legislation. So, and the, enforcing of those regulations. So, to me, DEP is a pain in the neck, don't get me wrong. But I think if I look at the history, I mean, things have improved in that regard, in terms of the air quality and the water quality in this area. So I mean, I'm not here, being a cheerleader for DEP. Just kinda, you're asking me for my opinion. That's all I can.
But they let Bradford County down.
Here's a little, maybe this will help you.
They let Bradford County down. I mean, they could be cheerleaders all, and I agree with you. In 40 years of growth, yes, the river, nobody knows the river better than me. What are you kidding me? I used to float in it when it was a sewer, all right? Nobody knows it better than me. I went down Wilkes-Barre on rafts and everything, all right? I'm 60 years old. I live next to that river, all right? So I agree with you. We have trout, streams, the whole 9 yards. We could go fishing in that river now. We could walk in front of that river now. And that all came of that. But they're still not, in my opinion, they're still far from being perfect to the people. And what shows it is Bradford County. That was all about money. It was all about rich money coming in because we had the source and they could take it off us. Never thinking about the little guy who's going to turn that water spigot on. I'm sorry. That's my interpretation. You know, if I turned my water on and put a match to it and I was burning, I'd have a serious problem too. And I've been in many of those homes, Dennis. Okay, many of those people have some serious water problems, well problems, ground problems,
That's right.
etc. But I'm not saying that DEP didn't do their job or moving forward, EPA is not doing their job. It cleaned all of that up. All I want to know is Invenergy spend, and this is not negative condescending remarks, Dan. You spent a lot of money to do this, and I would expect you not to do any less than that. All right, you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. I would not expect you to do anything less. But we're a little borough that's taken your book, your experts, your reports, and saying to DEP, are they right? Tell us if they're right, and if they are, then we're going to move forward. That's the way I understand this to be. No one has said to me to convince me of anything more than that at this level, and I respect every one of your opinions and research reports. I'm sure they're dead on the money in what you use. But are they teeter-totter? They're right because they're within the standard, but what's the is the standard, and maybe I'm talking off the wall.
No, that's absolutely right.
Telling the truth.
I'm just not convinced for my side. I don't have my side. I think this is well prepared. Mr. Wasilchuk told me it was well prepared. He is a PE. I believe he is very knowledgeable in doing that, but that's not his background. That's not what he's a PE. That's not what this guy's a PE. But these guys did a remarkable job, and so did you, Mr. Blazer, in putting that stuff together in the back of it, in protection, and making us know that, making us feel that you can. But is it all really smoking guns? Is it true?
That's
It's
right.
your side of the coin, and all I want somebody to do is tell me. That's all I'm asking. So, does Mr. Verzani go to our council, and our council, do we get an extension? Can we get an extension? Do we have to do this in 15 days? Can we consult with Dennis, with you, with his organ? I'm asking. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Go backwards. The answer to the extension is that's up to the applicant. That's not something we can grant. So that's an answer. That's something that is doable, because the ordinance clearly says 30 days.
But can we
For
honestly
an
write our conditional use for them within, I mean, like, what we would put on paper that we would expect them to continue to do, or?
Your job is to give recommendations.
Well, yeah, I understand.
The whole background and purpose of what the planning commission is about, your roles as planning commission members.